This is a very basic transfer pump that takes water from this pond right here and pumps it uphill over into the pasture where we have sheep grazing. And on a 400 watt setup, as in right here we have 4 single 100 watt solar panels. These power the entire system. The RPS systems are really cool because they're completely off grid. So these 4 solar panels are wired into 4 batteries. These are our batteries all daisy chained together. It's a 48 volt system. So if you wanted to run any 12 volt appliances such as lights or auxiliary pumps, you would need a step down converter, which I am in the process of ordering. But for now we have 4 48 volt batteries which hold all the power and juice that these 4 solar panels collect. And then they are all wired into this RPS charge controller. Primarily, this is responsible for A, turning the system on and off, but B, this is also responsible for maintaining float on the batteries so they don't overcharge. So the way that this pump works is I use 1-inch CTS water lines, which is very similar to HDPE plastic poly, except like a slightly different make. And I use brass forward compression fittings, which I highly recommend. I know a lot of utility companies use this exact setup because it can expand when freezes, it's UV resistant, it can be buried, and it's just highly durable and highly flexible. So it makes life a lot easier to deal with when you're plumbing huge distances. Like right here, this water line comes out the top here and goes literally 600 feet out that way into pasture land. This cord right here is our low well sensor, or in our case, low water sensor for the pond. This is actually a little sensor about this big that I've attached to fairly, like a foot deep in the pond, but it lies above the foot valve. So what that does is in times of drought, if the water is to drop significantly, that sensor is going to come in contact with air, and that's going to shut the whole pump system down before the foot valve gets exposed to air, because you want your foot valve completely submerged in water 24/7 all the time to ensure that your pump is primed, that this pipe is always constantly full of water. Up here, I put this splitter on because this is actually RPS designs these themselves. It's pretty cool. They call it a reverse action pressure switch. What this is their own pressure switch system, which I've wired into our charge controller here. So this enables the pump to turn itself on and off. So when you open the valve up there in the pasture lands, when you're filling up your water troughs, when the pressure is released, this pops open, flips a signal to the pump, turns it on, and when you close it, the pressure builds up, flows all the way back through the pipe, boom, snaps that back closed, turns the pump off. It's a pretty nifty design. Now we're using this rain-fed pond at the low point of the farm to water all the livestock on the farm. So the pump just draws from this pond and can shoot water 600 feet horizontally and 50 feet vertically. So when you turn it on, it'll relieve the pressure, and then it'll go down, and then the pump has to kick in, and it'll run maybe like 20 seconds, 30 seconds before the water starts again. This is an on and off valve, the 1-inch CTS on and off valve. These are all the brass forward compression fittings. And then right here, I put a reducer bushing and a 3/4 hose bib. So in the future, you can just attach a hose right here and flip the switch on, or even just turn the hose on from a nozzle. And just like that, the water is going to automate and it's going to start. And that'll be really cool, especially in the future for the winter when we bury this line and everything's underground. We'll have this kind of staked out somewhere in the field with the hose screwed right on it. So effectively, we just created a completely off-grid hose system that's moving water 600 feet up a hill. And it's pretty cool. Cool thing about RPS is that This pumping capacity can be doubled by adding 4 more solar panels and 4 more batteries. Nice and easy. And then all of a sudden we have a 100-foot vertical head and probably a little more than 1,000 feet span distance. So for future use, we can attach an aerator, aerate the pond, and then double our pumping capacity and pump water basically on top of each hill across the entire property.